Let's get into it. Uh, Back with the Ghibli review series,
Yep.
fifth episode, last movie.
Last movie, yes.
Last movie for this series.
Easy.
Um,
Very interesting movie.
mhm,
Very much almost seemed Western inspired
mhm.
for all the good and bad parts.
Yeah, it's like industrial.
Yes.
So
Yes. Very steampunk.
so we're moving on to the future.
Yes. To the future and more modern era with Howls Moving Castle.
That's right.
I will be honest, I didn't expect it to be a love story.
Oh, really?
I really didn't. Given the image that it shows, I expected it to be more like protector, like princessy.
You know what? That's
Not so much like actual. There's a love developing. This is the whole story about it.
Yeah, that's
Um,
good. No, I think I had a little preconception because I've seen it before, but
right. But even then,
it's
it's interesting because when you get into it, it starts off very slow
mhm,
as compared to the rest of them. Like the rest of them, I thought even Spirited Away and Totoro started off slow, but this is probably the slowest start of all of them.
mhm,
Because nothing really happens for a good solid like 15 minutes, and it's just Sophie, the main protagonist,
mhm.
just kind of chilling in a hat shop by these railroad tracks, and they're showing the city,
Yeah,
and that's all there is to it for like the first 15 minutes of the movie.
yeah, yeah. That's fair. I think yeah. Well, they get right into it. They don't have credits again, so
Yes,
we're like we like progressively got like less
yes.
and less
You
credits.
get a title shot though,
Yeah.
which is a lot more again modern as well.
Mhm.
Instead of it being credits or any kind of like lead up, it's just roll in title shot, roll into story.
Yeah. And then I think immediately you can see that she is like not confident in herself.
Oh yeah.
He does not
Oh yeah.
like how he looks.
She doesn't trust herself. She doesn't like think she looks pretty.
Mhm.
All these again, kind of teenager emotions,
Almost, yeah.
but not quite. They're a little more mature than teenager, but they're right about there.
Yeah. She does seem older though. I don't know how they never
They didn't specify how old she is when she starts,
Mm-hmm.
and it's she's definitely old enough
Mm-hmm.
to be an adult in the story,
Yeah, she's
but
like
not
independent.
right because her mother's off doing things and her father's gone, and all they reference all those things, but they don't really reference how old she specifically is.
Yeah. I think she is the older sister of the two.
Yes.
You do introduce
Yes.
the younger sister
Yes.
soon. I guess also in that way, the younger sister seems very popular, very well known for her.
Yes. Letty is between Sophie and Letty. Letty seems to be the more popular one, but Sophie seems to be okay with that
Yeah,
for some degree.
kind of. But I
She's,
do think that maybe growing up with that, maybe that's why she's so.
that might be why she's so
confident,
yeah.
so.
Which is actually a very fair point. I didn't think about that.
Mm.
It's how by having her sister kind of overshadow her a little bit most of her life, she might just be used to it, think nothing of it.
Yeah.
And her sister does mention, I want you to do something that makes you happy,
Mhm.
not that makes everyone else happy.
Yeah.
So I think that might be the sister complex,
Mhm.
the older sibling complex, I should say, where it's like they're having to take on all the responsibility and little sister's not really taking on any.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And then, but immediately, I forgot to mention, they immediately start with showing the moving castle, how
Yes.
the moving castle, which
Yes.
looks is weird.
It's not a castle.
It's weird looking. It looks like a
Based on the title, you go, oh, it's going to be like the steampunk castle thing. No, it is steampunk, but it's more like just a steampunk mesh of whatever the heck building.
Metal, it's in buildings. It kind of, I mean, you can see the mouth eventually, and it kind of
Yes.
starts to look like a moving
Like
monster
a moving,
or something.
like a moving frog almost, because it has the four limbs, so it's like a frog chicken-esque limbs.
Yeah, and
Very interesting.
not only that, I think early on I had in my notes that they actually mentioned Howell, and they mentioned that he's well known for. He's rumored to like have stolen
Pretty
someone's
women's hearts, yes.
Pretty women's hearts and stuff.
Yes, and how Sophie believes she'll be okay because he only steals pretty women's hearts, and he doesn't believe in herself that she's
Mhm.
pretty, so he's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is very interesting. She does mention that very early on.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes, talks to her sister, has the whole conversation with her sister, and her sister ends with, I hope you do something you want to do, not what like everyone else is forcing you to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And then immediately you get into Hal,
Mm-hmm.
who just appears and saves her from two guardsmen who are like harassing her.
Yeah.
and he just comes up in very suave, just I'm here to help you, and don't worry about it, and just follow my lead. And she plays into it very well.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, anything's better than what I guess I had going, so let's do it.
Yeah. I guess she was about to get like sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
That's pretty dark, but
it was definitely going to be dark, and they referenced that.
That's for sure.
And then he saves her only to have them get chased by. I don't even know if they mention what those are ever.
I have no idea. I assume they're
black ooze things. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like shadow ooze. There's some kind of ooze something.
Yeah.
It looks almost like oil. I don't know if that's purposeful or not, given the rest of the story's theming.
Yeah.
And it's just they chase her and him down, and then they start flying, and they walk, I guess.
They float down. They're walking, and she gets right into it too.
She's way into it.
Unbothered.
She's just like, oh, this is awesome. I'm just kind of enjoying this. I'm freaked out initially, but this is really cool.
Yeah.
And then they land, and then I forget what happens after that point. I don't know if that's her conversation with her sister. Yeah, it's a conversation with her sister, because her sister comes up and says, "Oh, you floated onto the balcony."
Yeah.
So and she talks to her sister, and then after that, her sister gets busy again. She wanders off and goes back to the hat shop, and she's locking up the hat shop and kind of just tending to things as a business person would. And then we get the witch of the West, not the Wicked Witch of the West, the Wicked Witch of the Waste.
Yeah, it's Witch of the Waste. Yeah.
Yes. Who we get introduced to for the first time, who's very much not attractive. I'll be honest.
Oh yeah, she's
given the theming.
Oh, she's weird looking.
She is not attractive conventionally, and she comes in and goes, "Oh, what a wretched thing! What are these wretched?" Very condescending. Like everything she says is just like, "Oh, this sucks. You suck. I'm just here."
Yeah, she's the Witch of Waste. She's the evil witch.
She is evil.
Seemingly.
And she goes up to her, walks past her. She asks her to leave, and then she goes to like this incorporeal form and goes through her, cursing her. With old, I guess. I mean, I don't know if it's old, if the curse is the oldness, or if the curse is she stole her youth, or what that works. Because she doesn't get anything from it.
I think she just curses her.
She definitely turns older.
I would assume, I guess it's because she was with Howl, and clearly the Witch of Waste has something against Howl, so I guess she just cursed her to be
right. And then from there, she leaves a note with her, and then she kind of disappears. And then of course Sophie is freaking out because she's now 90 years old. She's like a grandma, and she has to deal with everything that kind of comes with that.
Yeah.
And she knows like she can't just stay on the same person or whatever. So she goes up to her room, sleeps in. Her mother tries to come see her, and she's like, "No, I'm sick. Don't come to me." It's like, "Oh, you sound terrible. You must really be sick." And then she gets up and wanders off to the wastes.
Yeah, she pretty quickly picks herself up, all considered. Which I think later on, it's like, I think they mentioned something about, I feel like she like also gained the wisdom of the age. Like, it's not like she was just physically turned into an old person, but she gained the same like level of wisdom and calm demeanor and stuff like that.
Yeah, they just mentioned later on that she seems to be perfectly emulated into an old person. Not just physically, but like spiritually, mentally, all those facets.
Yeah, so she goes on a journey. She only brings like cheese and bread.
Cheese and bread in her hat.
Cheese and bread. And she goes far.
She goes way far.
She goes so far.
And she first catches a ride with a guy with hay bales. And then from there wanders out to the wastes. Who you have the guy who drove the cart going, "You're gonna die out there, Granny." And then their wife comes out and goes, "Are you sure you want to do this?"
Yeah.
They're like questioning her, like, "Are you crazy? Are you sure you want this?"
Yeah.
And then she just keeps going. She's like, "Yeah, no, I'm good." And then she thinks she needs a walking stick because it's of how far she journeyed. So she thinks she finds one in bushes, only to find out that we meet arguably one of my favorite characters,
Yeah.
Turnip Head,
Mm-hmm.
who at the time is just a scarecrow in like fancy dress, who has the head of a turnip,
Yeah.
and she has this whole monologue with it. Well, it's supposed to be a dialogue, but it's a monologue because he doesn't speak.
Mm-hmm.
And then he apparently is sentient enough to jump,
Mm-hmm.
like a pogo stick with the scarecrow body. And she asks him, "Could you do me a favor and go find something for someplace for me to stay tonight?"
Mm-hmm.
So which he I guess understood, bounces off,
Mm-hmm.
and goes and gets Howl's castle.
Yeah. Yeah. He goes and gets the castle, which is crazy.
It's not only crazy, but it's unique because out of all the things that are out there, supposedly, the castle is seemingly the only one that'll be safe.
Mm.
So it's like he knew exactly what to go, where to go, and which one to get.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
Which might just be again the cinema hand waving stuff,
At the
but
time, I guess like I thought maybe he was like a part of the castle or like a henchman to the castle or like one of.
when I first I thought it was more along the lines of like he's also cursed
Mm,
because I could tell there was something going on with it
mm,
because the sentient scarecrow doesn't seem, based on the story thus far, it didn't seem relevant. So I was like, okay, he must be another cursed thing. That's why he's following her. That's why they're sticking together. It's like, well, if you can get your curse lifted, I can get my curse lifted.
mm,
That much I understood.
mm,
But what I didn't get was why Sophie of all things?
mm.
Like you would see this 90-year-old woman, and you're like, oh yeah, she's cursed. I could
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah,
When no one else could tell
Hmm.
until later on.
that's true. I didn't even think about that. I think I assumed that like magical beings or like wizards or
Mhm.
witches or whatever can kind of just tell because of like spiritually.
Just kind of resonate with it. You can tell the magic level kind of thing.
But I guess that's never really actually explained.
It's to my knowledge, it wasn't explained.
Yeah.
To my memory, they just kind of hand wave it and go, well, they're both cursed, so there you go.
Yeah.
Um,
But she does get to Howls Moving Castle. And she also, I think, throughout this time, I think she's smart to start using her age to her advantage. Like,
yes.
when she was going there, she was like going out to people and asking for help, and they helped because she's like an old lady,
Yes.
nice old lady or whatever. And then she does the same when she's in Howls Moving Castle.
She first enters the castle through the door and meets Calcifer, the fire demon,
Yeah.
who, in all honesty, is very weird to call him a demon of any kind,
Mm-hmm.
because he does not act very like Western demon-esque.
Yeah.
Like, there's no evil to him. There's no, I'm trying to coax you to this. He's like cowardly and kind of just like he's almost like a childlike
Mhm.
character. Because he's like, I don't want to be snuffed out and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just here to try and help, and everyone's trying to work me. And
Yeah. Yeah, he's not very demon-like. I guess like later on, there's more that's revealed to that.
but even then, it doesn't seem it's demon appearance, but not like demon habit. Not what we Westernly think of demon.
Oh yeah, definitely not. No. I mean, he's just like he kind of comes off as more of like a fire spirit than
Yeah.
a demon.
Yeah. So, and then Hal comes in through this, like, they say it's called the Black Door because there's a code system to the doors, and the black one only Hal goes into. And he comes in through that one, and we see for the first time that he's more than just human. He's also like bird thing?
Yeah.
Crow-esque? It's never really specified what the bird is.
Yeah.
But it's bird something.
Just bird monster. Weird monster thing.
Weird bird monster, yes. And he comes in and kind of wants to pass out, but he goes, takes a bath, comes back down, and talks to Sophie, and kind of explains how like Calcifer is the power of the house. He's kind of the thing that's controlling all the energies of the house. And then we, of course, get Turnip Head comes back, just kind of bouncing along. And we get introduced to Hal's assistant.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
I think How's Markle. He
Markle,
comes
yes.
in actually before. I think she comes to the castle. She meets Calcifer. She falls asleep at the fire, I think.
Yes.
And then she wakes up, and they're like magically like in this town. This like
The doors have changed.
and the doors have changed.
Yes.
And they're planted there.
Yep.
And Markle's there. And Markle,
who's a kid,
yeah,
who's an apprentice in training, essentially, who's a kid who comes up and then does this like hand wave, where he gets this very mushy face and a huge beard.
Yeah, he tries to make himself look like an old man, I guess, to receive any guests, hide identity or something like that. But yeah, so that's when Markle comes in, and then Howl comes in, and yeah.
And then from there, you get very brief turn away to the war that's going on. The war that's kind of like the underlying theme of all the story. And you get a very, very brief glance of just these flying machines. I mean, they are flying machines, but they're not like conventional planes or anything that we've seen. And they're flying and dropping bombs on cities.
They're Ghibli airships.
Yes. And
so
they're destroying. They're absolutely destroying cities.
Yeah.
I mean, there is destruction and blazes everywhere. It's what you would think of like when you think modern like bombing campaign warfare.
Yeah, you see wartime, which is similar to Princess Mononoke. So we've kind of progressively gone from the kid stuff to this like darker, weirder stuff, and now we're in the war.
Now we're in war proper, right? People against people, just everyone's in disagreement.
Yeah, and now we've gone from like old-timey like swords and spears and stuff to like guns and
bombs. Yes.
Well, actually, there were guns in Princess Mononoke, but bombs.
But guns proper, like not muskets, but like actual, standard rifles and bombers and planes and things of that nature. Yeah. And it's very interesting because they don't mention it very detailed, but early on they go, the war is fought over because a prince is missing. Like it's an offhand throwaway thing that the guys are talking over a paper about. Like this war is going on because the prince is missing. Yeah. And they never really touch back on it until toward the end.
Yeah. I guess like the focus is just so much on
the relationship
and the relationship. Yeah. And love. I mean, love in general.
Yeah.
It gets a little weird, especially when Sophie's like 90 years old. And Howl's like a young adult leaning towards like a teen almost. Sometimes he acts very childish.
He throws temper tantrums. Yeah. And that's actually one of the themes is like Howl throwing a temper tantrum is part of what goes on.
Yeah, it comes in later.
And then but he comes home from the war thing, and Sophie and Howl's assistant go shopping in their city, the coastal city. And then they find that a battleship comes back and is under attack. And what they don't realize is it's still being pursued and being attacked. So it comes in, and then you see these bombs being still dropped in front of it. Yeah. And you also, this is where she notices one of the witch's henchmen. Yeah. That's kind of there. It's kind of alluding that like the witch might be the evil.
Yeah, that's.
But it's not actually.
But that's not actually how it turns out. But in this scene, I remember Marco was like almost excited about like the bomb.
Yeah, let's go get closer and see what's going on. Yeah.
But she was terrified. Also, before this, we need to mention that she officially became the house
cleaning lady. Yes.
The maid of
the house cleaning lady.
Howls Moving Castle.
Of Howls Castle. Yes.
Which is going to come in later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the cleaning and the tending to the house. She very much became a housemaid. Yeah. And it worked well. It worked well for her in the story. Yeah. But they go shopping. They find the threat. Then Howl comes back, or they go back to the home, and Sophie gets to cleaning. And she gets called by Marco. She gets called. There's a witch throwing a tantrum in there. Yeah. Yeah, they're very messy and dirty. Yes. All over the place. Yes. She's very organized and clean. Yes. So she's cleaning the whole place, but they're like, no. It's a motherly tendency. It's like a mother with her child, where it's like, your room is dirty. We need you to clean it. Okay, you're not cleaning it. I'll clean the whole darn thing then. Yeah. But it's just filthy. Yeah, and then the kid is like resistant to it. So yes. It's not just that he doesn't want to do it, so he doesn't want her to do it either. Yes. Because he doesn't want it to be clean because of how he likes it or whatever. Right. And then Hal comes back again, goes and takes another bath, only to have apparently his potions are organized, which he doesn't like.
Yeah, like his spell, like I guess certain charms are around that, or like spells or whatever that he has.
His hair changed color for a moment.
Yeah, but
because
he runs back and his hair's different.
yeah, and his hair transforms back,
Mm-hmm.
but initially it changes to like a very ginger orange, orange red.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, he just talks about vanity, very vanity stuff, and he's like, I'm not beautiful, no one will love me because of this. I'm terrible, and he summons what I believe is shadow spirits.
Yeah.
Is what Marco said.
Yeah, this is
He's throwing a temper tantrum.
This is the teenage temper tantrum.
This is the temper tantrum, the first temper tantrum.
And he's like mad about not being beautiful anymore. And yeah, he starts to have a breakdown. I guess like because he's a wizard or whatever, like
spirits feed on his energy, I think.
They feed on his energy and they start to come out of him. And I think
he starts oozing.
Yeah, he starts
like
oozing,
a green slime ooze thing from him.
But before that, like she gets pissed at him because she's like, "Yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about it. I've been ugly.
Yeah, I've been ugly all my life. What do you have to whine about?"
Yeah. And she runs off, which I thought was kind of interesting because it seemed like a heavy moment for her.
Mm-hmm.
But then she comes back in like a couple minutes later, and she just immediately
she's calm, composed, and ready to go.
Goes back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I guess like you need attended to, but.
So, but she comes back. She helps him up and into the bath.
Mm-hmm.
There's a quick throwaway scene of the towel falls off, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not paying attention." And she starts looking up the whole time. And then she's like, "Oh, well, I have to clean this again because there's slime everywhere and yada yada." And then they go to a scene where it's Sophie and Hal in his room, and his room is like littered with trinkets.
Yeah.
Like all these magical and otherwise trinkets. Mm-hmm. And he's just talking about like, oh, I'm so depressed. I don't want anything.
Yeah. Well, this is actually when he starts to reveal how cowardly he is.
Yes.
Because all the trinkets have little spells on them to protect him from like the Witch of the Waste and people who are after him.
Yes.
So he is terrified.
He is very cowardly.
Mm-hmm.
And he expresses that, and he talks about how I've been summoned by two different people to the king, and I have to show up as two different people to the king. And then they get to talking, and Sophie throws out an idea of like, well, what if you just say no? And he's like, well, I can't do that. It won't work. I took an oath. And then he comes with the crazy idea of, what if you pretend to be my mother and go say I'm too cowardly? Mm-hmm. And she's like, kind of against it, but not super. She's like, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should just talk to him. And he's like, no, but if you go in my stead and say I'm cowardly, nothing will happen and I'll be safe.
Yeah. This happened. This is also the point for me when it starts becoming like, I think throughout the movie until this point, Sophie is very headstrong. Sophie is very like moving forward and stuff like that. But I think at this point she starts to get a little cowardly herself. Like she does go there. Yeah. But she's like, what if you just said no? What if we just ran away together or whatever? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that comes in even more heavily later. Yes. But she does go.
She does go.
She does go.
And this is where we meet another OG character of the dog.
Mm-hmm. The dog.
The dog with like chicken legs. It looks like a dog, but it has weird chicken legs for some reason. And it seems to be chicken legs seem to be the theming of creatures.
Yeah.
In the movie.
That's true.
And then, so she meets the dog, and Sophie thinks the whole time that the dog is Howl, because Howl was going to follow.
Yeah. Because he promised he would follow her because she didn't want to do it or whatever.
Right.
So he was like, "Oh, I'll follow you. Don't worry."
Right. I'll be right with you. You don't have to worry about it. Mm-hmm. And then, so she goes along, and then she sees the Witch of the Waste being carried along, and talks to her. And instead of being afraid that she kind of is throughout the movie up to this point, she's more like angry.
Yeah. It's interesting. She starts out, she's kind of paranoid of the Witch of the Waste. Mm-hmm. And then I think she sees her here and she's like angry with her, which is fair because, she is there. She did. Yeah. But they don't actually do anything against each other. They kind of just race each other up the stairs. Okay. And then at a certain point, when they get to the top of the stairs, she turns around and
cheers her on, yeah.
And cheers her on.
He's like, oh, come on, you can do it. You can get to the top. You made it this far.
Yeah, which is weird.
Which is weird. It's a weird that the dynamic changes so quickly and suddenly. But so they're both there at the castle finally. They travel up the stairs, and they get to this room that's kind of weird because it looks like just a regular room. But Sophie goes off to the side and follows the dog, and gets taken by, I don't know if it's a clone or what it is, because there's multiple of him.
Yeah, I think, well, they come in the room, and it's just this empty room with one chair there.
Yes.
I think traditionally...
And the witch takes the chair.
Traditionally, yeah, you would assume that maybe the king is in the chair, and he'll do like a little...
Yeah, he can turn around or something.
I thought about that. But then, yeah, she sits in the chair, and you maybe think, oh, he's going to come out of the curtain or whatever.
He was going to come out of the curtain. Like, when you first see the curtains open up, it's like, oh, I think he's just going to, like, interrogate her, be like, why are you being selfish and all this other stuff?
Yeah, but that doesn't happen.
That does not happen at all.
Sophie goes to the side, because the dog leads her to the side.
Yes.
And
then light bulbs happen.
The clone of Haku. I mean, Howl. I mean,
is it a clone of Howl? It doesn't even specify if it's a clone of Howl.
Like Howl. You know what though? It does. I will say.
Because it's blonde hair.
Now that I'm thinking about it as well, the assets look similar to like Haku.
Yeah.
As well. About that. But yeah, I don't know.
It's the kid assistant.
Yeah, but like
to the Supreme Sorcerer.
Other than the blonde hair, he looks so similar to Howl.
I can see that though. Yeah.
I mean, maybe it makes me wonder if. Well, I guess we'll get into it later with the witch or the king or whatever. Yeah. But like maybe she's like created other Howls or maybe like
Howls. Well, it is mentioned that she does doppelgangers.
Yeah.
And she's very good at it.
Yeah.
So
but anyways, yes.
But so she wanders out and then we get light bulbs and you're like, oh, it's just a really weird light bulb that's shining orange and that's just whatever. That's behind the curtain. And you're like, so I thought initially it was just going to take like a picture or something. Like it was literally just a light bulb for a giant picture.
Yeah.
Like that maybe it does magic readings or something. Until you see all of them turn on and the witch getting drained.
Yeah.
Once she starts getting drained, I'm like, oh, that's what's happening here.
Yeah, so something's happening. It looks like she's being tortured.
Oh, yeah.
Like put through the electric chair or something like that.
Or like, imagine a suntan booth, but like turned too far up. Something like that.
Yeah.
And so that's happening in parallel with Sophie talking to the Supreme Sorcerer, who is like her, an older lady who has a staff and is in a wheelchair. And they're just kind of conversing, and they don't seem hostile.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem like an enemy until kind of later on in that same scene where Hal appears, and you learn that she was the one who trained Hal.
Yeah.
And also that Hal never completed his training.
Yeah, Howl like abandoned her or something.
Yes.
After getting his heart stolen by a demon, is what is said, I think.
No, by a girl. And then he gave his heart to a demon, or something like that.
Okay, something like that.
It was something like he got too involved with the girl, and never came back and finished his training.
Okay.
Because we do learn later on that he does give his heart to a demon, but it's never specified yet. I don't think that that's what happened with his heart.
Okay.
Because from there we get that Sophie has to fly back to the castle because they have to run away.
Yeah. So the Supreme Sorceress, which I actually just called her the Witch of the King, because I think that's what they said in the movie, but yeah, Supreme Sorcerer sounds good.
Well, they do say she introduced herself as the Supreme Sorcerer for the King.
Okay, really? Okay, yeah. So
because she was the head sorcerer for the king, I think.
Right.
But so she's basically for the king.
Yeah. But so, yeah, she starts like attacking them as soon as Howl comes in. Also a little before the dog is revealed to be
the assistant.
Her dog.
Yes.
Little, like spy dog
yes.
or whatever.
When they run away, you get the weirdest runaway. Because instead of just running away just the two of them, she runs away with Howl, and they bring the witch and the dog.
Yeah, they bring them both.
And Howl's just like, are you sure about this? And it's like, I'm not leaving them. Okay, well, I guess they're coming with us.
Yeah, it's weird.
He's thrown off by it.
Yeah, I don't know why you would choose to break them, but I guess you got them anyways.
Yep.
Yeah, and then as they're running away, Howl has to like split off.
Cast an invisibility spell, he says. I can give you 5 minutes of invisibility, and I'll lead them away.
Yeah.
So she has to pilot this aircraft thing, and Hal creates the diversion and pulls them away. Then she gets back to the castle, and very much does the Toy Story landing, where it's falling with style, and crashes into the house.
Yeah. Into the mouth.
Into the mouth of the house, yes.
Because Calcifer opens that.
Yes.
So.
And it's not a light crash. It's a pretty heavy. It's a heavy crash, but everyone seems to be okay. Very luckily. And then from there, she falls asleep, and she has this like, I don't know if it's a fortune dream or what kind of a dream it is. It's like foreshadowing, but also like it's foreshadowing something that never comes to pass. Because she has this dream of where Hal comes back as a bird, and she kind of admits her love for him, but does so too late. And he says it's too late, and he can't revert back.
Yeah, that happens. And I think also at this point, she starts, I don't know if this was always the case with you, but she starts turning young a little bit. Like she turns young.
It appears young every once in a while.
At night. I thought it was maybe at night or while she's asleep or something like that.
Which is because when she first stays the night, the first time he looks at her in bed, Hal sees her as a young person. And then it's just sporadically throughout the night, which is what I thought it was like the reverse of the Shrek thing, where it's like day is one, night is the other. Night is her youthful form, day is the other form.
Yeah.
But it's kind of weird because it doesn't even continue that line of logic either. Because there are points later, the more the story progresses, the more she just returns to her youthful self.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the spell, if that's the curse breaking, or if that's what Hal sees.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. But, she wakes up, that thing's a dream. I don't know, I'm thinking, like, maybe it's like I'm thinking actually going back. Like, I kind of lose what her goal is. Because I felt like at the beginning, her goal was to break the curse.
Right.
But then as it goes on, it seems like more and more her goal just becomes Hal.
Hanging out with Hal.
Yeah. And just being there.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It does throw the whole thing kind of into an interesting like loop of itself. Because like you said, it starts off with, hey, I'm interested in you, but more importantly, I need you to break this curse. To then those two things getting flipped, where it's like, hey, I'm really interested in you. Oh, but I have this curse as a secondary.
Yeah.
And so from there, though, we kind of get into this. So he realizes his house has been found, and he casts this what he calls a moving spell.
Right.
And it's this massive, requires this massive chalk drawing outside, and then runes on the inside. And then that's when we get to see Calcifer's kind of like real power, because he retrieves Calcifer, and together they move the house.
Yeah, they totally revamped the house. It vaguely reminds me of in Harry Potter when Dumbledore fixed the guy's house.
Yes.
When he went to the house.
Yes.
And like everything's moving around and stuff like that. That was a pretty cool scene. I liked that scene.
I thought it was cool. I also like the fact that they give credence to like all the little edits that are shown immediately when they're settled. It's like Hal talks about, we have a toilet now because people keep wandering off apparently. Like they play into the silliness, but the magic that is. And it's like, oh, there's a house, there's an extra bedroom, it's your bedroom, surprise. And just things like that.
Yeah. And also, I think another thing to mention is I feel like it's not, Howell doesn't really ever acknowledge that he knows who Sophie is.
Right.
When she comes, I mean, I feel like he clearly knows.
I think he knew from the get-go. Yeah.
But he never really says that. They never really disclose that. And also earlier, I think when she first came in, I forgot to mention, I was kind of confused as to why she wasn't just telling them that like she's been cursed and that she's so but she can't. Because then I saw like she literally couldn't move her mouth.
Right. That was the part of the curse is, and they actually mentioned that Calcifer does that. Part of the curse, and he goes, part of the curse, as I'm sure you figured out, you can't tell your curse to other people.
Yeah. So that was interesting. But yeah, he shows her her room or whatever, and also the the area that becomes important later.
Yes, the garden.
The garden area.
Howl's Garden, which has this. The area is very picturesque and has a little like cottage house that has the water wheel and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which is where, as he says, he spent most of the time as a kid was just sitting in that house studying.
Yeah.
Which, as you kind of said, is a prelude to what is to come.
Yeah.
Because it mentioned of that mentioning.
Yeah. But they're there, and then an airship shows up.
Yes. Then it gets attacked by. It never specifies if it's enemy or friendly. Or friendly, and it's just specified that it's an airship. And what difference does it make if it's enemy or friendly? It's here, and it starts dropping bombs.
Yeah, I definitely thought of that. Like when the airship came through, and Hal was like, "Oh, I need to go like defend them or like attack them or whatever." I was like, it didn't seem like it was gonna drop anything. You could have just
you could have just let it go by, and it would. Yeah.
It
did seem like it was.
Noticed.
It did seem like it was very passive until Hal antagonized it.
Yeah.
Like, what'd you do? Oh, I just messed with it. They won't crash or anything.
So that was crazy. But also, I think something else to mention is so far the door. I feel like a lot of times leads to buildings, like outside
physical location.
This time it's like a door in the middle of the field, and then the house is like away, if I'm not mistaken, right?
So that happens a little after the next scene, which is first the garden gets attacked.
Right.
Then they teleport back through the door, transfer the door to the hat shop, and then the hat shop gets attacked.
Yeah.
And this time probably by enemies because it's actually the war seems to have encroached on their original area, and Hal has to save the hat shop, so he's like rides a bomb for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And like diffuses it midair, and then it crashes in but doesn't explode.
Yeah. And also at this point, fully Sophie is like, let's run away. Like, let's not fight this.
Yes, we don't need to fight this, we can just run.
Howl's gone opposite. They've switched places.
Yes.
Because Howl is now like, I'm not running away.
I'm tired of running away. I have something to protect now. Which I think is a cheesy line regardless of when it's used, but I get the reason it's used.
Yeah.
So he says that, and then he rides the bomb, it lands, they're happy, they're also getting attacked by wizards that are in this other form. And she goes in and turns the knob to try and transport the house location, and then she essentially takes Calcifer out of the house with everyone else.
Yeah, she starts doing things to try to help the situation.
And then when she takes Calcifer out of the house kind of collapses.
Yeah.
And it's just done. It's like, I have no more power, so I'm done.
Yeah. And
then from there, it goes onward to trying restarting the house. And it restarts as like a little version. It almost looks like Pac-Man.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like her plan was to destroy the house and then rebuild it so that they can move or something.
It was to disconnect from the port point. So she knows the house wasn't going to be in danger, but she couldn't tell Hal at that point because she disconnected it. And he was out fighting or flying or doing whatever he was doing.
Yeah.
So she does that. They get in this other house, the miniature Pac-Man house. It starts roaming around, but it's falling apart.
Yeah.
And then it falls so far apart that Sophie falls off the house and with the dog, and they fall, and she thinks all hope is lost because the witch found out where Hal's heart is. She found out that Calcifer has it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. So, like, Calcifer didn't have much power to begin with.
Right.
But then the witch who's also now passive and with the gang.
Yeah.
But she is still obsessed with the heart.
Still obsessed with Hal's heart,
so when she sees the heart on Calcifer, she takes it.
Yes.
When Sophie isn't looking while they're running away. And then, the house crumbles. Calcifer dies, seemingly.
Because Steve has to throw water on it, onto Calcifer.
Oh, yeah,
because the heat was starting to envelop everything.
Yeah.
And we think everything's dead. And she starts having a breakdown.
Yeah.
Rightfully so at this point. She thinks everything she cared about was dead.
Yeah. And like I think she also has a sense of like she messed things up.
Yes.
Too,
She has a sense of responsibility, I think. I think you're right. And then from there she goes onward to discover that the ring that led her home that was like a protection charm,
Mm-hmm.
also can now lead her to Howl.
Yeah, right. Howl gave her the ring to help lead her home or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, I think it's leading her to Howl.
To Howl, yeah, because it's blue and it's in. First time it's red and pointing in the direction of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Then this time it's now blue and it's pointing towards rubble.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, what? She follows it and realizes that's where the door is.
Yeah.
And she opens the door and it's pitch black.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes inside with the dog that follows. And then she realizes she's at Howl's house,
Mm-hmm.
his youth house.
Yeah.
She goes outside and finds out that the water wheel's there, and it's like falling stars are happening.
Yeah, she's gone back. I think she went back to the past.
Yes.
To his childhood.
Went to Howl's childhood, yes.
Or at least a vision of it. I think she actually went to it.
I think she went to it too. Because what happens is she finds out that Howl basically made a deal with a star or something.
Yeah.
And that's when Calcifer was born, with that he eats the star.
Mm-hmm.
The star then comes out as Calcifer, as his heart.
Mm-hmm.
And then once everything's starting to fade away, because she's, I guess, losing time or something,
yeah,
she yells, "Find me in the future, I know how to save you."
Yeah, and then that's what he does. But yeah, so I think also the star things, that's like the Supreme Sorceress's stuff. It looks like her
Yeah, it looks like her magic.
spells, her
Yes.
magic. So at this point it's kinda like the whole time we're thinking maybe he made some deal with the demons, some like dark magic thing.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, oh, he's a
It might have
star.
been, and actually I have her name noted. So Sullivan is her name.
Mm-hmm.
And Sullivan, it could have been her magic.
Yeah.
That it's never specified as to what it is, who owns the magic. It's just falling stars. Because you see when Sullivan's trying to capture that, that's the falling stars is what causes her
With
magic.
the little people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens in this flashback.
Mm-hmm.
And so she yells, "Find me in the future, I know how to save you."
Mm-hmm.
From there, she leaves, and everything starts to wrap up very, very, very storybook-esque. Because she leaves, she goes back to Hal, who's now almost fully beasted out,
Mm-hmm.
and goes, "Can you get me back to where everyone's at?"
Yeah.
And Hal apparently is sentient enough to do so,
Mm-hmm.
and takes her back. And then, again, in a very weird change of heart and morality, goes up to the witch, basically goes, "Can I please have it back?" No. Gives her a hug, and then gives her a kiss on the cheek, and she's like, "Oh, well, fine."
Yeah.
Like it's very childish in that manner.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if I suck it up and just be nice to you, will you be nice to me? Oh yeah, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens. So she gets the heart back of Calcifer, and Calcifer's like, she asks Calcifer, like, "Will this kill you?"
Mm.
And he's like, "I don't think so, as long as you do it."
Yeah.
So she does it. She puts the heart back. Calcifer gets released, and Hal twitches a little, like he's alive but not fully awake.
Mm.
And then they start to fall again because they're on a teetering platform. The platform falls, and Turnip Head saves them
Yeah.
by losing most of his lower stick body. They just get ground away because he's trying to stop it from falling. And so, as a thank you, she kisses him on the cheek,
Mm-hmm.
and we find out that he transforms into the prince that's missing.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's been the prince the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
And but the really weird one is that they specified it was True Love's kiss that did that.
Yeah. Yeah. She gets like, I think, well, first of all, I wanted to mention, I think when she falls in the chasm in the first place,
Mhm.
like everything's messed up, the whole
Mhm.
climax, she's young again. So she's back to
Yes.
being young. She's no longer like an old lady. And I think that continues throughout the rest of this. But she does have the white hair, though. She has
Right.
the white, gray hair, or whatever.
With silver hair.
Yeah, the silver hair. And yeah, like she's just kissing people all over. So
Yeah.
I think for me, I was like, maybe it's just like love in
Yeah.
general.
The power of love kind of
power
thing.
of love. But yeah, for this one specifically, they're like, the witch is like, oh my god, it's true love or whatever.
Yeah.
And
And
then,
then he says,
right.
well, I guess hearts change, so it's not that big a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of dismisses it. He's like, "Yeah, well, what it is.
Yeah, well, because I think Howl wakes up and then I
Yes.
think they kiss. And
Yes.
it's like, oh, well, I guess your girl loves someone else.
Yes, your girl has feelings for someone else.
And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. He's very chill about it.
Yeah.
Considering what just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it kind of starts to conclude. Then Calcifer, that now became the star again,
Yeah.
comes back.
Yeah, he's back to his star form. He comes back because he doesn't want to leave or whatever. And also, I think it's revealed that the dog
Betrayed.
he didn't really betray them.
Well, sort of betrayed the sorcerer girl.
Oh, yeah, the sorcerer, yeah.
Because he was like, oh, you're supposed to prompt them to me. Now you call.
Yeah.
After everything's done.
Yeah, but he calls her and he's like, yeah, it's actually all good. We're all good.
Everything. So Hal found true love, whatever.
Yeah, and then she's like, oh, I guess we have to call off the war now.
Yep, I guess I had to go call people and turn the war off.
Yeah.
So they go and everything supposedly happens in the background, and the war concludes.
Yeah.
And the prince goes away. It's interesting that his mode of travel is kind of like the same as the Scarecrow, though. Mm-hmm. You notice in the last scenes, he's riding a golden stick thing, pogo stick thing, like away.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it's done. Everything's happy.
Happy ending. Dog is a G.
Dog is great. Turnip Head is great. As Turnip Head, he's great. As the prince, he's kind of like, alright, whatever. That's Turnip Head, he's great.
Yeah. But that's it. That's the happy ending.
It, which is very interesting because the rest of them give an ambiguous ending. This one gives a very clear happy ending.
Yeah, very clear cut, very fairy tale esque.
Yes.
Love, the power of love.
The power of love will save you.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, that's kind of where we're going to conclude the Studio Ghibli series.
That's the final movie.
The final movie we will discuss.
Yeah. We're ending off with a overall discussion.
Yes.
We're going to talk about all of them.
Summarize our thoughts, compare everything together, and kind of just give a grand conclusion of what we think.
Yeah, conclusion. Very academic paper. Very
very, very middle school.
Very high school.
Very, very school-esque. You can tell. But
all right, we'll see you.
With that, we'll see everyone next time. See ya.
Bye.